Okay, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're doing a bit of zooming out. We're going to start all the way down at the intricate workings of the individual mind and expand all the way out to the massive global business environment. So let's see if we can decode the hidden drivers of the modern workplace through the lens of organizational behavior, or, OB for short.
To really grasp why this matters, picture this. Why is it that two people, right, given the exact same instructions, the exact same desk, and the same salary, end up performing their jobs so completely differently? Like, why does one employee just absolutely thrive under pressure while the other one completely disengage? This isn't just some theoretical puzzle, it's literally the daily reality that managers face. To answer this, we've got to look way past standard job descriptions and actually dig into the sheer messy complexity of human behavior.
And it's so fascinating how we actually figured this out. Okay, back in the 1920s at the Western Electric Hawthorne Works, managers wanted to boost productivity, right? So they did something simple. They turned up the workshop lights. And, well, productivity went up, just like they expected. But then came this huge plot twist. When they dimmed the lights down to near pitch black, productivity went up again. It turns out the light bulbs weren't doing the heavy lifting at all. The psychology was. The workers were pushing themselves simply because, for the very first time, they felt valued and actually observed by their bosses. It proved that a company is really a complex social reality, not just some mechanical system of inputs and outputs.
So, here is our roadmap for today. We'll hit 1. Decoding workplace behavior. 2. The science of OB. 3. 3 levels of behavior. 4. The SOBA model. 5. Environments, inside and out. And finally, 6. Evolution and Indian ethos. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, Decoding Workplace Behavior. So, modern organizations have finally recognized a crucial fact. Employees are not interchangeable cogs in a machine. We all have unique motivations and emotional needs. And decoding that behavior allows us to do 3 massive things. First off, we can actually predict and influence performance. I mean, if you know an employee values autonomy way more than a cash bonus, you manage them accordingly, right? Second, acknowledging these individual differences massively boosts psychological safety and retention. And third, this is a big one, it helps manage fear. Whenever new tech or new leadership rolls in, resistance is just human nature. But a leader who truly decodes behavior can tailor their communication to turn that exact fear into active support.
Moving on to Section 2, the science of OB.
A crucial point to understand here is that organizational behavior is absolutely a rigorous science. It steps away from just going with your gut or relying on common sense and leans entirely on systematic study. We're talking hypothesis testing, data collection, the whole shebang. And it's an applied science. The ultimate goal isn't just churning out academic papers. It's to solve actual, real-world challenges. It uses hard evidence gathered from field studies, lab experiments, and deep case studies to do things like boost morale, lower turnover, and spark real creativity.
And looking at this, it's clear OB doesn't just operate in a vacuum. It acts as a composite science. It sits right at the top of a pyramid, seamlessly pulling in insights from a bunch of different distinct behavioral fields. Just look at how this builds across different scales. Down at the micro level, we borrow from psychology to figure out individual cognition, learning, and what actually drives job satisfaction. Then we widen the lens with social psychology to see how individuals influence each other and adapt to change. From there, sociology steps in to explain group dynamics and formal structures, basically how we act based on the roles we're given. Anthropology gives us the context of shared values and cultural backgrounds, which, by the way, is absolutely vital for globalized teams today. And finally, political science teaches us about the macro stuff, allocation of power, office politics, and conflict management. It's truly a comprehensive toolkit.
Let's look at Section 3, 3 levels of behavior.
Notice how behavior kind of compounds here. We start right in the center with the individual, then we expand out to the group they operate within, and finally, we encompass the vast organization as a whole. To manage effectively, you've got to realize that each of these levels requires juggling completely different variables. At the individual level, you're looking at intrinsic values, things like personality traits, personal motivation, or cognitive biases that might skew someone's perception. Step out to the group level, and suddenly you're managing team composition, communication flows, and crucially, those unwritten rules or norms that everyone just silently agrees to follow. Then, at the organizational level, you're looking holistically at structural hierarchies, the overarching culture, and how the whole entity manages massive change and external market forces.
Okay, Section 4, the SOB model.
The SOBA model is great because it proves humans aren't just passive sponges taking things in. We actively process our environment. It all starts with step 1, the stimulus. Now, this could be anything, from the office lighting to a blunt email from your boss. Step 2 is the organism. That's you, processing that stimulus through your own unique psychological needs, attitudes, and motives. Step 3 is the behavior, your actual response. That could be an overt action, like speaking up in a meeting, or a covert process, like silently deciding you're going to quit. And step 4 is accomplishments, the real-world outcome of your behavior. And what's really cool is that this forms a continuous feedback loop. Your accomplishments alter your future environment, which creates brand new stimuli and kicks the whole cycle off all over again. Managers can actually intervene at any of these steps to help guide better outcomes.
Which brings us to Section 5, environments, inside and out. It's super vital to delineate these boundaries. The internal environment, that's your sandbox. It's everything management can directly influence, whether that's building a culture of innovation or flattening the reporting structure to empower your employees. But the external environment, well, that's entirely outside the organization's limits. Management cannot control it. They can only monitor it and try to adapt fast enough to survive.
And that external environment is further split into 2 distinct arenas. On one side, we have the macro environment. These are the massive, broad forces that shift entire industries. Think new government regulations, economic downturns, huge demographic shifts like the explosion of remote work, or massive tech leaps like AI. On the other side, we have the micro environment. These are the external forces you interact with every single day. Things like the shifting demands of your customers, sudden innovations dropped by your competitors, or a random crisis in your supplier's supply chain. You can't control them, but they put direct pressure on how your internal organization has to behave.
And finally, Section 6, evolution and Indian ethos.
If we look back at the evolution of organizational behavior, there's been a very clear shift. We've moved far, far away from those rigid mechanical efficiency models of the past. Today, the defining features of an effective organization are entirely human-centric. It's all about prioritizing interpersonal relationships, utilizing adaptive leadership that actually shifts with the context, fostering open communication, and fundamentally empowering employees rather than just bossing them around.
And what's truly fascinating is that these quote-unquote modern concepts actually have incredibly deep roots, particularly in Eastern philosophy. Ancient texts like Kautilya's Arthashastra were outlining management principles centuries ago. Concepts like Dharma provide this amazing framework for duty and ethical conduct, while Karma Yoga emphasizes dedicated action without that unhealthy obsession over the immediate reward. Throw in a strong cultural leaning toward collectivism, and you've got an ancient toolkit perfectly designed for the ethical, balanced, and highly effective management that modern organizations are desperately trying to achieve today.
I really want to leave you with this core takeaway from the source material. Organizational behavior transformed our perception of the workplace from a just mechanical system to a complex social reality. This shift in perspective is everything, guys. It is the absolute key to unlocking potential, lowering turnover, and actually thriving in an unpredictable world.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about your own daily routine. How are you going to apply this psychological toolkit from those micro individual variables all the way up to the macro environmental forces to decode the hidden drivers of behavior in your own workplace?